Look at the horizon of Dubai. Look at the skyline of Riyadh. You see steel, glass, and geometric impossibilities rising out of a landscape that, for thousands of years, offered nothing but sand and silence. Most people look at these cities and see oil money. They see luck. They see a geographic lottery ticket that finally paid off. But they are missing the most profound economic lesson of the 21st century. If you walk the streets of these cities at noon, you will see thousands of people drenched in sweat. They are working 12-hour shifts in 45°C heat. They are moving bricks, welding beams, and driving trucks. These are the hardest working people on the planet. And yet, they remain at the bottom of the economic pyramid. If hard work were the secret to wealth, every construction worker in the Middle East would be a billionaire, and every billionaire would be a construction worker. The paradox of the desert is this: the harder you labor with your muscles, the less you generally earn. Wealth is not a reward for your physical exhaustion. It is a byproduct of your judgment, your specific knowledge, and your leverage. You are listening to this because you've been lied to. You've been told that hustle is the variable that determines your bank account. You've been told that if you just grind harder, the world will eventually hand you a check. It won't. The world doesn't pay you for your effort. The world pays you for being right when others are wrong, and for applying a lever to that correctness so it scales while you sleep. The myth of the laborer. We have been evolutionarily hardwired to value labor. For 100,000 years, if you didn't pick the berry or hunt the gazelle, you didn't eat. In the hunter-gatherer age, labor and reward were perfectly correlated. But we no longer live in a linear world. We live in an age of infinite leverage. In an age of leverage, one good decision can be worth $1 billion. One bad decision can bankrupt a nation. When you see the massive wealth generated in the Middle East over the last 50 years, you aren't seeing the triumph of labor. You are seeing the triumph of capital leverage and state judgment. Someone had to decide where the city would go. Someone had to decide to pivot from a resource-based economy to a service and tech-based economy. Those decisions, those judgments, are what created the value. The labor was just the implementation. If you are currently trading your time for money, you are a laborer. It doesn't matter if you are wearing a hard hat or a suit in a cubicle. If you are getting paid by the hour, you are effectively a rented human. You are selling the most precious, non-renewable resource you have, your life, for a flat, capped fee. Naval says, you will not get rich renting out your time. You must own equity, a piece of a business, to gain your financial freedom. Why? Because equity allows you to earn while you sleep. Equity represents your piece of the lever, specific knowledge, your unique DNA. To get the leverage that the billionaires of the desert possess, you first need specific knowledge. Specific knowledge is a weird concept for most people because it's not what you learned in school. School is designed to produce replaceable cogs. If society can train you to do a job, it can eventually train a computer or a cheaper person in another country to do that job. Specific knowledge is found by following your genuine intellectual curiosity and your passion. It is the stuff that felt like play to you when you were a kid, but looks like work to everyone else. In the Middle East, the transition from oil to the new economy is a search for specific knowledge. They are investing billions into AI, into green energy, and into tourism. Why? Because they know that commodity oil is general knowledge. Everyone knows what it is and how to price it. But the specific knowledge of how to build the city of the future is where the 100x returns live. You must ask yourself, what is the thing I do that feels like play to me? If you are a natural communicator, a natural coder, or someone who can synthesize complex data into simple stories, that is your edge. You cannot be trained to be you. You can only be you. And if you are the best at being you, you have no competition. Naval's rule is simple. Escape competition through authenticity. When you are competing with someone, it's because you are trying to be like them. If you are being yourself, no one can compete with you. The billionaires of the world don't compete. They occupy a niche so thoroughly that they become the market. The four levers of the modern empire. Once you have your specific knowledge, you need to apply leverage. Think of leverage as a force multiplier. If you have a specific insight, but you only tell one person, your impact is 1. If you put that insight into a piece of code or a video that reaches 1 million people, your leverage is 1 million. There are 4 types of leverage. The Middle Eastern billionaires mastered the first 2, but you, the individual, can master the latter 2. Labor. This is the oldest form of leverage. Having people work for you. It is the worst form of leverage because it requires management. It involves ego, office politics, and constant maintenance. This is how the pyramids were built, and it's how the old world still operates. Capital. This is the leverage of the 20th century. If you have $1 billion, you can move mountains. Capital is a very powerful lever, but it is permissioned. You have to convince someone to give you money, or you have to inherit it. Code. This is the new leverage. This is permissionless. You don't need a boss to tell you that you can write a script. You don't need a bank to approve your software. Code is an army of robots working for you 24/7 while you sleep. Media. This is what we are doing right now. This speech, this podcast, this video, it is a lever. I am speaking once, and it is being replicated thousands of times. It costs me nothing to move from 100 viewers to 100,000 viewers. The billionaires of the desert are now frantically buying the last 2 levers. They are buying sports teams, investing in social platforms, and building tech hubs. They know that the labor and capital era is being eclipsed by the code and media era. Judgment, the ultimate skill. If you have a massive lever, the most important thing is the direction in which you push it. This is judgment. Naval often says that in an age of infinite leverage, judgment is the most important skill. If you are a worker with a shovel and you dig in the wrong place, you've wasted a day. If you are a CEO with $1 billion capital lever and you point it in the wrong direction, you've wasted a generation. This is why the top CEOs and the top Middle Eastern investors get paid so much. They aren't getting paid for their hours. They might only work 2 hours a day. But in those 2 hours, they make a decision that is worth $500 million. To develop judgment, you need to be a clear thinker. You have to stop listening to the noise of the crowd. The crowd is always wrong. If the crowd were right, everyone would be a billionaire. Judgment requires you to see the world exactly as it is, not as you want it to be. Most people are blinded by their own status games. They want to look rich more than they want to be rich. They buy the car, the watch, and the house on credit because they want the status of a billionaire. But the billionaire knows that status is a trap. Status is a zero-sum game. For you to be #1, someone else has to be #2. Wealth, however, is a positive sum game. You can create a new piece of software that makes everyone's life better, and you get rich without taking a single cent from anyone else. You've added to the pile of human civilization, the quiet mind and the high performance. The final paradox of the Middle Eastern billionaire and of Naval's philosophy is that the most successful people are often the calmest. If you are stressed, you cannot have good judgment. If you are reacting to every tweet, every news headline, and every social slight, your mental RAM is full. You have no room left for the deep thinking required to find specific knowledge or apply leverage. We see the flash of Dubai, the fountains, the lights, the parties. But that is the status side. The wealth side is happening in quiet rooms. It's happening in the minds of people who have mastered their own desires. Naval says, a calm mind, a fit body, and a house full of love. These things cannot be bought. They must be earned. True wealth is the freedom to not do things. It is the freedom to say no to a meeting. It is the freedom to say no to a boss. It is the freedom to spend your time however you wish. If you are hustling 24/7, you aren't wealthy. You are just a high-paid slave to your own ambition. The goal is to reach a point where your money works for you, so that you can go back to being a contemplative human. Summary: the path forward. So, how do you apply the desert paradox to your own life? Stop renting your time. Look for ways to own equity. Start a side project. Buy stocks or create a product. Find your specific knowledge. Stop trying to be the best at a generic job. Start being the only at your unique obsession. Build or buy leverage. If you can't code, create media. If you can't create media, save capital. But never rely on your own labor alone. Prioritize judgment over effort. Spend more time thinking and less time doing. 1 hour of clear thinking is worth a month of hard labor. Ignore status games. Don't upgrade your lifestyle the moment you make money. Use your money to buy your freedom, not to impress people you don't like. The desert taught us that you can build an empire where nothing existed before. But it wasn't built by people working harder than their ancestors. It was built by people who understood the power of the lever. The world is now a giant desert of opportunity. The oil is your intellect. The refinery is your code or media. The empire is your freedom. Stop digging with your hands. Start building your lever.